This is new.
I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. Would you please stand for a moment of silence, pledge allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. We'll do it that way, backwards, okay? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You can be seated. All right. So we just went a little bit backwards, you know. What I ought to do is have everybody that's sitting on this side move to this side, and everybody on this side move to that side. Yeah. We do that sometimes in churches, so. All right. Are there any changes, amendments, or additions or deletions to the agenda, board or superintendent? Seeing on, moving on to approval of the minutes, superintendent.
Recommend approval of the minutes from the regular school board meeting, November 26, 2018, the school board workshop, December 3rd, 2018, and the regular school board meeting, December 10th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. We're really going here. All right, you've heard a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, none. We don't have anything under representation tonight, but under public input, we have a couple cards. And Mr. Yocum, I will hold yours until we get to discussion. He moved on me. Okay. All righty. So we have first up, Ms. Catherine Smith.
Good evening, Superintendent and School Board members. I'm Kathy Smith, Vice President, LCEA. I'm speaking for all the teachers who bring a plethora of materials home every night, the lesson plans, the stacks of grade, papers to grade, etc. Because in 1 week, during the teacher's individual plan time, a teacher may be required, asked, to attend any or all of the following: a professional learning community meeting, collaborative planning time with other teachers, a faculty meeting, data chats with administration and or other teachers, common assessment meetings, professional development, parent conference, phone calls, MTSS meetings, 504 meetings, IEP meetings, team evaluation meetings, which include a pre-conference, a post-conference, and the deliberate practice plan, substitute in another teacher's class. If you were counting, that's a total of 15 possibilities. And I probably missed some along the way. I don't know about you, but that is way too many possibilities during a teacher's individual plan time. Teachers believe it is time for a change. Time for teachers to be given what they deserve, not only in salary, but in working conditions. Teachers are still learning new strategies and given new materials all the time. Yet it has been stated that there are no new initiatives. Lake County teachers' retention numbers are quite alarming when we have a shortage of teachers. 13 out of 45 schools, that's 29% almost, had turnover ratings of 33% or above. To retain our teachers, we should be helping them to understand what they need, like giving them their individual plan time, so they can actually plan their own lessons and grade their students' papers in order to enhance their instructional strategies to improve student learning. Let our teachers teach. Administrators need to help our teachers, not bombard them with meetings, make them complete more work, or make them resign because they're not a good fit for the school. Thank you for the time. I look forward to discussing some changes to help our teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Next, we have Mr. Klatt with the LCEA, the president.
You must likely planned this, huh?
Yeah, that was what I tried to do.
Good evening, school board members, superintendent. Before I get started, I found something interesting today. And I know speech and language therapists have been communicating with some of you. And speech therapists are under instructional salary schedule. But one of the problems is if they are absent, you can't just get a substitute. you have to hire another speech and language therapist. And since it's all under IEPs, IDEA, if that service is not provided, then as a county, we have to provide commensurate services and or hire an additional therapist, sometimes at a higher cost to come in. Now, let me get back. I'm going to talk about retention rates. And Kathy did mention that 29% of our schools have 33% or higher turnover. But then interestingly, we have an equal number of schools that have a turnover of 10% or less. So that tells me it's not necessarily a systemic problem. Maybe a problem with management and hiring, training, workload. Some of the other management activities may be some of the issues in turnover. Now, it's going to require some out-of-the-box thinking. You're having to deal with a system that the legislature has created and we have to live with. But we don't have to use the same old solutions for the problem because, again, Albert Einstein, utilizing the same solutions to the same problem is insanity because you're not going to get a new or different outcome. So that may be doing things like longevity bonuses or letting people know of non-reappointments before so they know what they have to do to correct. For example, just last week, I need you to resign or be terminated. What did I do wrong? I don't have to tell you. What do I need to do to improve so I can get hired somewhere else? I don't have to tell you. That's a conversation that happens in many of our schools. Now, you look at the exit survey, and I know there's a questionable whether some of these surveys are going to give honest answers. And I think if you look at the bottom of any email that you send or you receive from anybody in the county, it says everything is public record. So if you're expecting honest answers, you're going to have to, again, think out of the box. What can we do to get honest answers so we can address the problems? Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Clay. All right, moving on to reports. 601 is the Educational Foundation Report by Ms. Carmen Cullen Batt, the Executive Director. And some of us had the honor this morning to accompany Ms. Batt and go around with some teachers. And I'm sure
We
she's
had
going to
fun,
speak on
didn't
that.
we?
We did. We just need to stop at Donut King, that's all.
Chairman, school board members, superintendent. Today was exciting. We had what we call the tapping of our finalists for Teachers of the Year. And on February the 16th, we're going to select from one of 3 finalists, Lake County's Teacher of the Year. That event, which is just an incredible formal celebration, is sponsored again by Duke Energy. And one of these 3 finalists will walk away with a Volkswagen from Jenkins Auto Group. And then also Ernie Morris and Han will be providing a chair. It's over a $10,000 value for every single one of our 47 nominees. And our finalists, which get to spend the day at Renewed Day Spa on the 16th, East Ridge Middle School, Daniel Diebacher, Mount Dora Middle, Camille Chapman, and Windy Hill Middle, Michael Tarquine. And so it was a lot of fun, and thank you for school board for being there. I'm supposed to have some members from Insight Foundation here. Yay. Last year, the foundation funded a program for ACT. We had 476 students that were in jeopardy of not graduating, and through our ACT initiative, 388 of those children graduated. We're in the similar situation this year. There are 470 students, and partnering with us this year is Melissa Boykin, and she is from the Insight Credit Union Foundation, and they've awarded us a grant of $2,500 to help with the ACT prep for those students. Thank you. We appreciate it. I also have the distinct honor of recognizing a gentleman who has won a contest in our schools. I believe Corbin Bagiages is here from AXA. And I'm in hope that Dan Cemento is here. Don, I'm sorry. Hey, I'm old. To collect his check for being the district cookie winner.
Cookie?
Thank you.
So what kind of cookie was this?
Don, what kind of cookie?
And are there samples?
What type of cookie was it? Oh, a delicious. It must have been, that was a $250 check.
All right.
And now, every year, the foundation serves as the liaison with the Department of Education to process our awards through the schools. And I'm going to ask you to come down, Superintendent, because we have our 5-star award winners tonight. Accountability legislation and school improvement initiatives are built upon the active involvement of parents, guardian, business people, and other community members whose contributions significantly help to improve our schools. The legislative intent is to return the responsibility for education to those closest to the students, the schools, the teachers, the families. The 5-Star School Award was established to recognize that community involvement is fundamental to our students. The symbol of achievement is presented each year to those schools who have shown evidence of exemplary community involvement. And I would like to start by recognizing Cypress Ridge, Ms. Brohart. Fruitland Park, Ms. Langley. From Grassy Lake, Julie Williams and Ms. Schaefer. From Imagine South Lake Charter, Kathleen Dial. From Leesburg Elementary, Ms. Gelb and Mr. Simmons. From Lost Lake Elementary, Ms. Cousineau. From Mineola Elementary Charter, Mr. Dillon. From Pine Ridge Elementary, Ms. Obando. Sawgrass Bay, we have Ms. Stinkin and some of her APs. A bunch of her APs. From Seminole Springs, Ms. Choi. From Sorrento Elementary, Ms. Burkhead. From Tavares Elementary, Ms. Lemoy and Ms. DeLeon and Ms. McKinney. Okay. From Treadway Elementary, Ms. Cressidas. From Triangle Elementary, my grandchildren's principal, Ms. Strawn. And last but certainly not least, from Umatilla Elementary, Ms. Dreyer. Sherry has asked that everyone go out into the rotunda for a
Just,
formal photo.
Before they go out, we would like for them to come up and do a parade up here so we could congratulate as well.
I listen. Congratulations to you. Congratulations. What a showing. Quite a trip, huh? Congratulations. Great. Well done. Congratulations. Good, how are you? I'll be at your school soon. Bunny. Congratulations. Hey, how are you?
Sorry, hold up the mic.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Nice to see you.
Hey, you too.
Jesus.
So my report tonight was a lot of fun. I got to give out money, I got to get money, I got to recognize teachers and recognize some tremendous schools. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You have a special event coming up. Do you want to speak about that for a second?
We have a Teacher of the Year, but then we also have the
You.
skeet shoot.
No,
Oh, me?
you.
Yes, I do. And if you'd like to hear it, I've been selected to be a TEDx speaker, and I am speaking on the foundation events and how we throughout traditional fundraising means to become innovative, and we were risk takers, and it's been successful. And that is this Friday.
Congratulations.
Carmen, don't leave. I don't have a question, I have a statement.
Yes.
You do a lot. You come up here and you do a lot of presentations and things. And one of the biggest things that I know firsthand that you're very deeply involved in is the Renaissance Fair.
Yes.
And, you know, you see a different side of her. She's out there, I mean, she doesn't care. She's going to get dirty, do whatever she has to do. But she's out there, and a lot of times she's given all the compliments and everything to all her staff. But Carmen is a big worker for the foundation, and I think she deserves recognition as well. So thank you, Carmen.
Thank you.
All right, the attorney report.
Nothing to report.
We have no unfinished business, so moving on to the consent agenda. Superintendent? Oh, I'm sorry, does anybody have anything they wanted to pull? No. I didn't hear anything. Okay, Superintendent?
I recommend approval of consent agenda items 8.01 to 10.08.
You've heard the
So moved.
recommendation? Got a motion?
Second.
Second? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign for opposed. Motion carries. Moving on to the discussion item. 11 point, oh wait, you know what? I forgot somebody, didn't I? Did I forget you, Dr. Tibbetts? I told you, that was that
speaking?
two-star general.
He wanted to save the best for last.
I apologize, sir. I got caught up. But we're glad to have the general back with us this evening.
Is he speaking on an
I
item?
just
He's-
thought you were
this is- I'm
saving
sorry,
the
we're-
best
we're-
for last. Board members, Superintendent Cornegay, I want to say what a pleasure it is to be back. I've missed being with you. I hope you miss being harassed by me. I'm looking forward to a wonderful year. I would go further regarding the job that Carmen has done for our teachers and our students. I don't think we can give her enough credit for the efforts that she makes. The only item on the agenda tonight that I wanted to speak to was the last item regarding Mr. Johnson's change in becoming his own practice. One of the concerns I have, and hopefully he can answer it for you, is what kind of a backup system is in place for him if he's a single practitioner that makes it difficult for you. Otherwise, I know that you've been pleased with his service, but I would just be concerned about his new adventures and how they might impact the board. Thanks again for all that you do. And it doesn't get said enough. And it's heartfelt. And best wishes for 2019. Thank you.
Doctor,
sir.
Dr. Tibbetts? Dr. Tibbetts? Dr. Tibbetts? How is your wife doing?
She is now in Lakeview Terrace in rehab. For those of you who don't know, she had 8 discs fused in her back. She hasn't walked since August, so she's got to learn how to walk all over again. But she's making progress. Today with a walker, she walked from what would be from here to the front door with only 2 stops. So 3 weeks ago, it took 3 people to get her out of bed, so she's making progress.
Well done.
And a couple people stopped her today and burst into tears because how well she was doing.
Well done. Our prayers are with
And
you.
I appreciate all your prayers and thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. With that, we move on with our discussion agenda, and we have Mr. Yocum. I have you down for 2 items, but I don't know what the first item is.
Oh, okay, Vance Yocum, I write the blog fiscalrangers.com, and actually I had 4 items real quickly. First is, I wasn't at the meeting last week, I watched the video of the meeting, and I just really want to congratulate Superintendent Cornegay and her staff here that were there that made those presentations on the Medicaid reimbursement, the retention rates and the graduation rates. You know, there used to be a day when you'd come into the administration and maybe a board member would say, I don't understand this, can we have a presentation on it? And somebody from the staff would come in later and they'd make a presentation, and the board would ask questions, and we're going back even to the Larry Metz days. And and then it would just be thud management, just thud. Nothing would happen, okay? He even had to mandate that you had to have a checklist of all things that they asked the staff to do because they never did them afterwards. But in this case, all 3 of those presentations, the staff were all saying, and we're going to do this and this to improve it even better. You just never used to see that. So I just want to say that to everybody here. You guys doing a great job. Next is, there was an item 10.08 on the College Board APs. It just triggered in my mind, and I sent you information about the AP is run by the College Board. The College Board is headed up by David Coleman. He is the architect of Common Core. He's the one that took the money from the Bill Gates and he got those grants and he made the pitch. And I'm starting to question whether you ought to even have anything from the College Board, the SAT exams, because right now I sent you, I think, links where he is talking point blank on video about that they need to control the tests so that they can force the teachers to have to comply with the Common Core curriculum and the issues that are in it, which are, in my viewpoint as a conservative, have really been modified to portray anti-family attitudes and other things that are documented very well. So I would just say that keep in mind when you're talking anything about AP, David Coleman is behind it, the SAT exams, and that they're tailored to fit a certain biased viewpoint of how kids ought to learn things. And keep that in mind. Legislative priorities, you talked about it. I just wanted to mention that I think there ought to be specifics and a deadline. There may be reasons why you don't want to put those there, but just it makes me nervous when I see goals and objectives that do not have specifics, measurable criteria either for what's now versus what your target is, what you want to get out of those different items on that agenda. Finally, I would encourage you, this is my year when I'm just going to start talking about big, hairy-ass goals. And I'm going to go to the legislative delegation and tell them some. And what I want to do is encourage you to maybe pick 2 or 3 things that normally people would say we can't do or we're not going to do or it's beyond our reach, and go after it. And one that I would say that probably is dear to your hearts, and there's 2 charter schools that you just approved, is that you have seen there's good quality and bad quality in charter schools. And maybe you can do something with your lobbyists and with your employees, letter writing and so forth, to get the legislature to tighten up on the quality of the charter schools that are coming before you. Thanks, and have a good day.
Thank you, sir. All right, 11.01 is the recommendation of the renaming of Claremont Middle School. Superintendent?
So per Board Policy 8.54, the School Advisory Council at Claremont Middle School presented to the board a proposal to, upon the opening of the new Claremont K-8 school, the school be hence known as the Aurelia M. Cole Academy. And this proposal was followed by letters of support from several community organizations, including the City of Claremont. And so upon consideration of these proposals and the overwhelming support from the public, I am recommending that the Claremont K-8 school be named the Aurelia M. Cole Academy. And further, I recommend that until the school is built, with a projected opening date of August 2023, that we erect a sign on the existing site to read "Future Home of the Aurelia M. Cole Academy."
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Legislative priorities for 2019, Superintendent?
We've looked at these a couple of times, and I got some feedback and made a few changes, mainly to the item in regards to funding for our career and technical education programs, to include dollars for transportation. As you know, that's been one of our big barriers, is students not having access to the great programs that we offer, and so we wanted some funding specifically for that transportation item. So that was added. This has been shared with our folks with Gray Robinson, who, as you know, came into the workshop and went through these with us. And upon your approval this evening, I will share these tomorrow with our legislative delegation and be speaking on your behalf at that delegation meeting. And so I am recommending approval of the 2019 legislative priorities.
So moved.
A
Second with
motion,
discussion.
second.
With discussion.
Okay, discussion?
I just want to know if we're going to, I know whenever we go into discussing these with other legislators, are we going to pare down to the top 2 that you're going to focus on at the delegation meeting tomorrow, or what we carry forward to Tallahassee, or are we taking the whole list?
They're going to get the whole list, but I'm going to specifically speak to that reoccurring compression adjustment, which I know has been one of our top priorities, as well as the reoccurring funding for the Safe Schools and mental health component that I'll specifically speak to. And I'm going to have an opportunity prior to that session to talk a little bit about workforce development with them and talk about some of our innovative programs. And so I'm hoping that will carry over with some of these priorities specific to our career and technical education programs.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right. 11.03 is the school board committee appointments. Board members, you've had the opportunity to look at the appointments and the individuals there, and no one has sent anything to Ms. Challenger, as far as I know, since these came out, as far as any changes. So what's your motion?
What's your motion? You want us to make a motion?
Well, we have to approve these. Well, I make a motion, we approve them, but, you know.
Well, here was my question, and maybe Natalie can answer that. Like the ones that are on the right that are where the
Highlights?
the highlights, like I know personally for my calendar committee one, it's just going to be the same person. So I don't know if we just need to designate that those people will flop back over, or not.
And my appointees to the various committees will remain the same as well.
Yeah.
Just carry forward.
Yeah, mine were too. So, I think to the far right, was that just when they're, Natalie, to the far right, the column where the highlights are, what were the highlights exactly for?
Missing.
Need a position filled, and
Right.
those are ones that I don't have an answer on.
Right.
Oh.
So going through, I need to know if the board member who held it previously is going to continue.
Got it.
So I don't have an answer on any of those.
Okay,
Do you want to go through them and just say like,
all right.
Citizens.
Countywide Citizens Advisory County Commits, Ms. Burns, you're still good with that?
Yes.
Allocations, are you going to serve on that one now? I just got the
Yes, sir.
invitation for Tuesday, so we'll need to switch the Tuesday, the 22nd, or whatever that Tuesday is. So you'll go to that one instead,
Okay,
right?
all righty.
I've already been to the first district audit committee meeting.
Okay, the ones with the highlight are Four Corners, Mr. Dodd, you're still good?
Yeah.
And Mr. Miller, citizen?
He was Bill's appointee to that, or proxy.
Yeah,
Do you want to go?
no. I'm sure Jim's all good with that.
Okay.
Those are the two options.
The FSBA, Ms. Burns?
I'll stay there.
Okay. Legislative liaison to state is you and also federal?
Yes.
Okay. School concurrency, Ms. Luke, is that,
I think that's normally the chair.
okay, then that would be
That's
me.
you.
we just met in December though, that was weird, and it was my
I
first
may-
year on it.
It's next December,
So
so,
it's you go next year, okay.
There's only
Okay.
like one meeting.
Yeah, there is.
right, there's only one meeting a year, so, okay. All right, the Value Adjustment Board, there's still no alternate for that,
I'll be the alternate.
okay?
That's an easy breezy.
Yeah, right? That's what I'm like, sure.
And then the Wellness Committee, Ms. Burns, you good with that?
That's fine.
Central Florida Public Schools Coalition,
Fine.
both of you still good? Juvenile Justice, Ms. Burns, you still good?
Yeah, I don't think they met. Not sure if
It's-
they're still active.
Okay, we'll put. Okay. Lake County Chamber Alliance, Mr. Mathias? Okay. Did anybody want to be his alternate? When he's flying out of country and out of state, you know?
When do they meet? Fridays? When do they meet?
Yeah, when do they meet?
When do they meet?
We meet at lunch on like a Wednesday or Thursday.
Like monthly or?
Yeah.
I can do that. As an
You'll be
alternate.
his backup.
Just let me know.
Okay.
All right, Lake County League of Cities, Ms. Luke,
Fine with that.
you good on that? All right,
They're Fridays. The second Friday, I believe, of the month, just if there's anybody that's going to be an alternate.
okay. Does anybody want to jump in? Okay, I'll put my name down there. I understand that just because y'all don't jump in don't mean I'm gonna volunteer. Okay, Lake County Planning and Zoning Board, does anybody want to be the alternate?
I could be the assignment. I can be the alternate.
Okay. Let me tell you, you'll be either loved or hated.
No, I know you're going to be there.
All right, Lake Sumter Metropolitan, does anybody want to be the alternate? Nobody?
That's a great one.
I think Bill and I have already done our
Yeah,
service
we
on
did,
that.
we did our service
All
on
right,
that
I'll
one.
be the alternate.
There you go.
You can be the main, I don't.
No, your name was carried, which means Ms. Challenger already heard from you about.
No, she did on that.
Yes, she did.
All right, the Audit Committee, Mr. Dodd, Don Lucas, is he
That's
still
right.
good? And Chloe Bonds is still good for mine. The Calendar Committee, Tracy Wood, I take it?
Superintendent?
Okay, well, okay, the highlight's just a little high then on this one. Okay, Jane Irwin for Ms. Burns, okay. Phyllis Smith, okay, Mr. Dodd. And Laura Chandler is okay, and Lori Baker, okay, all right. That takes care of all of that. Now,
So did we do a a countywide citizens advisory council liaison? Did that one carry over? Is that Christie?
Where?
Is that nobody?
What?
It's on the first page. Maybe we went so quickly. I didn't.
Countywide citizens, Ms. Burns took it.
Okay.
The SAC? Yes.
All right.
Yeah, she continued. Okay,
Cool.
all right. So now, everybody okay with it? We need to make a motion on this, Mr. Attorney?
No, sir, those committee appointments are yours.
Okay, then we're done with that. All right, 11.04, the attorney issues, and Mr. Johnson, I believe, wants to speak to this.
Well, you received, I believe, a letter that was put in board docs notifying you that I was starting a different law firm. The reason the notice was when it was because the Florida bar rules require that we not speak to potential clients that we have before leaving a law firm until after you get this joint notice. So that was the only reason why it wasn't brought up before this. I don't think it's going to be noticeable any difference because the people who have been working and representing the school board all along are still going to be working and representing the school board. Elizabeth's coming with me, and so is Natalie, so I won't be by myself, Dr. Tibbetts. I will have coverage and somebody to take over matters and for me when I'm not there. And I ran it by Fred Morrison, who the one thing that we do a little bit of work of, not so much lately, is real estate. And Mr. Morrison, Valerie?
You said Natalie.
Did I say Natalie? That's right, I call Natalie Valerie. That's not a bad idea, though.
I love Natalie. We're going to fight over her.
I think it will be seamless. I think the only inconvenience or change will be to the board or the staff, for that matter, is going to be a new phone number and a different email address. I'm not retiring tomorrow. The rumors of my death are greatly exaggerated. I intend to be around for a while and work with Elizabeth and continue to represent the school board. We are going to possibly have a little more emphasis on education. We're going to do some getting up to speed on ESE issues. The county has lost its ESE lawyer, who's been with us for probably 20, 25 years, is retired. So he's not available. So having somebody who has an expertise in that benefits not only the firm, because there are other counties who need that help as well, but Lake County, because we'll be able to do it on the same reduced rate that we do all the other work for the county. So it's my intention to have if the board decides to stay with me, to have a contract with a new firm that will be identical to the one you signed last year, the same rate, the same terms. The only difference would be the names.
Okay, board. Every one of us received a letter, in the letter from Mecklen, and Burns said it, talked about at the bottom, that we have three options there that we could choose from with their firm of the letter, so it lets them know what we want to do going forward. But we also could, with other three options we have, is that the board could allow me to negotiate a contract with Mr. Johnson and his new firm, or renew the contract with, as we saw on what they sent to us from Glenn and Burns said, to renew or continue the contract there, or we can do also the third item on theirs is where we advertise. We're open for discussion on this.
I'd like to make a motion that we transfer the files to Steve Johnson.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion to transfer the files to Steve Johnson. We have a second. Is there any further discussion?
Does that, like previously we had it's basically a month-to-month contract. So if you decided within 30 days with Mecklen, Bird said you could terminate, and then we within 30 days could terminate. Do you plan on that staying the same?
I will tell you what I've told the board for every year since 2000, that if you didn't want us to represent you anymore, you wouldn't have to wait the 30 days. We would walk out the door when you told us to leave. So So that's never been an issue. I was looking at that, and I noticed that that's what the language says, but I also know that I've said that on the record every year since we started doing this.
And so I think that the service has been exemplary.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. No,
Thank you.
no one went against, so we have 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. And we'll look forward to the contract.
Yes, sir.
All righty. We move on to the superintendent report.
First, I want to offer my congratulations to our Teacher of the Year finalists who had an opportunity to see today: Daniel Dialocker at East Ridge Middle School, Michael Tarquin from Windy Hill, and Cammie Chapman at Mount Dora Middle School. So congratulations to them. And I also want to say thank you to Insight, I think she's gone, for their support of our ACT program and the difference that it's making for our students. I do want to remind everyone that schools and district offices will be closed on Monday in honor of the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. And I want to welcome Mr. Tibbetts back. It's good to see my friend back with us, and I'm glad you're feeling better and with us. We have a few letters of condolence. Frank Arthur Bafora, he's the father of Roseanne Brandenburg, who was our former school board member and a very active part of our school district as a member of the Education Foundation Board. That was her father who passed away. Condolences also to Linda Connor. She's a program specialist in curriculum instruction and assessment. She lost her mother, Amanda Middleton. And we lost over the holidays Eunice Loretta Strong. She's a teacher assistant at Lake Hills School, and I know has left a big void there at Lake Hills. And then, of course, our condolences to David Lee's family. He was a library media specialist and longtime baseball coach at Eustis High School. Also, Calvin Wingo, who's our supervisor of maintenance, and his wife, Marie Wingo, who's a fiscal assistant for us, lost her father, Joseph Truex. So condolences to them as well.
All right. Board member comments, Mr. Mathias?
Actually, I have none. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Luke.
I just wanted to reiterate the congratulations to the 3 finalists. We really have a good time surprising them in their classrooms. My favorite comment, the first classroom we visited this morning, we all walked in and he said, "This is some learning walk." Like, holy cow. So we're always very surprised to see everybody come in their room, and it's such a nice representation to have the board and then their principals, and we have LCEA, and we have the Education Foundation. It's just a really well-rounded celebration of the work that they do. And it's super exciting for February 16th to come to see who's going to win. I also wanted to extend my congratulations or my sympathies to Eustis High School. I know that they lost not only a coach but a very dear friend, and that community has embraced him and his family and shown a lot of love. My husband knew him as well, and I know that that's a loss they're going to wear pretty heavy for some time. So we are praying for them, and we are very sorry about the loss. Thank you.
Got to say, hands down, participating in the Teacher of the Year tapping is one of the most exciting parts of the job. When you get to walk into these classrooms and watch the joy appear on their faces, but not only the teachers' faces, but the kids too, because they know that they've got a great teacher and they're happy to see that person recognized. It's such a fun experience because you just each classroom is just so dynamic. I mean, we walked into one today and you saw the robotics fields and arenas set up, and you know, those kids must have a good time with those. And then you go into another one here, just an incredible choir singing away. And then you walk into another one and you find somebody just bubbly and excited about factoring trinomials. I mean, how in the world do you make that sound exciting? But it sounded exciting. So that's really exciting, and I'm looking forward to February 16th as well. It looks like as we kind of unceremoniously pass the reins on the allocations committee, thinking back to that experience, it was really exciting. And the reason I say that is because when the superintendent and I were and Dr. Weiskopf was there too, at the Education Day for Leadership Lake, a question came up from the audience about how the district supports the arts. And we could very proudly say that we have art and music in all of our elementary schools, and that these programs are rapidly expanding. And you could see that was something that was very pleasing, a very pleasing answer to everybody in the crowd. They were excited about that, and just another indication the district is moving in the right direction. I think as we go forward looking at that, and I think back to that decision we had to wrestle with, I guess it was about a year ago, one of the greatest struggles that we as a board looked at was the role of the curriculum resource teacher and whether or not we would just allocate one of those to all of the schools or whether they'd have to trade somebody back. And now that we've had a chance to observe that for the year and we see that almost nobody gave up their curriculum resource teacher, that they all have it, I guess one thing I'd encourage the district to look forward to is what is a slate of options for schools to be able to have the support staff in place without compromising the programs for students. So I know that we're just getting better and better every year, and I have no doubt that what you bring forth will be even better than last year. And then finally, one bit of excitement, I think, the Ed Foundation, they're talking about the continued sponsorship of those ACT programs. That's a great move. One of the pieces of information I had requested following our our presentation about the graduation rate last week was how many of these students are impacted by not having a high enough GPA or how many students are impacted by not having an appropriate test score. And the vast majority of them are missing a concordant score. So when the Ed Foundation is able to step up with other partners to be able to offer those programs to students to get that concordant score, we move more students from just walking away with a certificate of completion to a high school diploma. And there's a world of difference with that. So great job.
Right.
Yeah. This week or last week, I had the opportunity to take part in the Umatilla Elementary School Science and Engineering Fair. And it was I really had a fun time doing that. Yeah, Stephanie did it with me, Ms. Luke. And I really enjoyed it. Sometimes there's pushback from teachers, some teachers, or from the schools on science and engineering fairs, and I was thinking about that because it was a topic of discussion. And one thing that hit me was I asked every kid, so what did you do? What did your mom do? What did your dad do? What did your guardian do? And some of them, one girl in particular, her stepdad had helped her, and she built a robot, and they had gone back. She was so bright, an 8-year-old who built a robot and then re-engineered it because it didn't clean the bathtub good enough. And it was so cute. It had little eyeballs. But when I asked her what her father, whoever had done, she said, my stepdad and me worked on this together, and she lit up. And I just thought, with families, things can be difficult with step-parents or not, just depends on the family. But this was obviously an opportunity where the two of them really got to bond over it. And it was such a cool learning experience for her to see how she had I just scored her perfect on everything because I was so blown away by her. But it was so cool to see a kid just light up over an experience that she got to have with her family. So it was also really cool to see the STEAM program at Umatilla Elementary and the huge amount of people that showed up to volunteer to judge. They had a really nice turnout. So I just was really impressed by the whole Umatilla community. I wanted to say a special that we've been praying for David Lee's family. He played a very special role in our family because he coached my brother and his team to the championship for Eustis High School baseball and has always been a special person in our family. So prayers to his family as they go forward with such a hard time in their lives. And just on a personal level, I wanted to wish happy birthday to my twins, Anya and Wyatt. It's their birthday today.
Mr. Gamble, may I it's interesting, the young lady that you're talking about, her mother was actually the math program specialist for the secondary level for our district for many, many, many years. Deanne Wilson, I'm sure you know her, Mr. Gamble, but she's just a very bright young lady, and that was her mama. So
I didn't
kudos to
know.
her mama for doing such a good job, or her grandma for doing such a good job, and her mama. So thank you.
Great job. Just want to say a couple things. First of all, what Mr. Cemento did here this evening, as far as that check that he received, giving it back to Eustis High School, they are in the process of raising funds for a David Lee scoreboard to be erected there at the baseball field. And they are saying, the family is saying, in lieu of flowers, please consider a donation to the Eustis High School baseball program for the purpose of a new scoreboard in David's memory. And you can make the checks made out to the Eustis High School baseball earmarked for David Lee scoreboard. And I think, I know where my daughter coaches at Umatilla, that they are looking at how their high school athletic program can help and contribute something from their athletic program from the high school. You know, that's a competitor as far as, you know, regular season, but that's not what this is about, and it's what it stands for, and I think that's outstanding. So if anyone would like to contribute, you can get with that, Eustis High School, and they can give you more information on it. This past week, you saw something on the news as far as transportation with one of our middle schools, and as of today, that had been taken care of. But I just want to point out something, because Channel 9 or any other channel that does a interview, they don't always put everything on that is asked in the question. When Dr. Weisskopf and I was out there for another issue, they had maybe about a minute or two of what she said, and I only got 10 seconds. So that was on there, and that's all I told the guy he could have today. But the main thing I want to point out is this board here, along with the superintendent and the staff, is very conscious about the safety of our students getting to and from campus. And anytime we find out something of that nature there, the superintendent does all she can to make sure that that is rectified. So I just want to make sure everybody knows what you hear on TV or see in the newspaper. If it's negative to that, understand if we know about it, we're going to fix it. So I just want to say thank you, Superintendent, for taking care of that. And that's all I have. We're adjourned.